You left, or maybe you're trying to leave, and something strange is happening. You know what they did to you. You can list the lies, the manipulation, the moments that broke something inside you. You have every reason to walk away, every reason to feel free, but instead you feel guilty, not just a little guilty, the kind of guilt that wakes you up at 3 a.m. whispering that maybe you're the problem, maybe you didn't try hard enough, maybe you're abandoning someone who needs you, maybe you're cruel for finally choosing yourself. Your friends don't understand. They tell you that you did the right thing. They remind you of everything you survived, but their words bounce off because deep down, something inside you keeps insisting that you're the one who failed. Here's what I need you to understand. That guilt you're feeling, you didn't choose it. It was installed, deliberately, systematically, over months or years of careful programming. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how they did it. Welcome to Predator Psychology, where we decode the minds that manipulate and arm the minds that heal. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why leaving feels like a crime even when staying was destroying you. You'll learn the exact tactics that program this guilt response into your nervous system. And most importantly, you'll discover how to finally uninstall the software they put inside your head. This isn't about blaming yourself for feeling guilty. It's about recognizing that your guilt is evidence the programming worked, not evidence that you did something wrong. The pattern is the protection. And once you see it, they can never use it against you again. Let's start with what's actually happening in your brain. Psychologist Susan Forward identified a manipulation framework that explains everything you're experiencing. She called it FOG, fear, obligation, and guilt. These 3 emotional levers work together to keep victims trapped in what she described as a haze, unable to see how their emotions are being weaponized against them. Here's why this is so effective. Fear, obligation, and guilt aren't weaknesses. They're survival instincts. Thousands of years ago, humans who felt obligated to their community survived longer than loners. Guilt kept our ancestors from behaviors that could get them expelled from the group. These emotions evolved to protect you. Narcissists don't create these emotions. They hijack them. Fear activates your fight or flight response through threats of abandonment or retaliation. Obligation exploits your innate sense of reciprocity. And guilt activates a gut reaction that makes refusing their demands feel morally wrong, even when saying no is the healthiest thing you could do. But obligation deserves special attention because it creates something researchers call the martyr's ledger. Narcissistic abusers maintain detailed mental accounts of every sacrifice they've ever made. Often exaggerated, always weaponized. They remember the time they picked you up from the airport 3 years ago. They remember skipping a party because you were sick. They remember every moment they frame as selfless, while conveniently forgetting the countless times you were there for them. And each sacrifice demands payment. Small ones purchase minor concessions. Major ones demand long-term compliance. The exchange rate is never negotiated. It's dictated. You've heard the scripts. After all I've done for you, this is how you repay me. I sacrificed everything for this relationship. You owe me. These phrases aren't expressions of hurt. They're collection notices. Now let me show you the 5 specific tactics they use to program your guilt response. The first is called DARVO. Psychologist Dr. Jennifer Freyd coined this term in 1997. It stands for deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. And once you see it, you'll recognize it immediately. Here's how it works. You raise a legitimate concern. Maybe they lied to you. Maybe they crossed a boundary. Maybe they hurt you. Instead of acknowledging the harm, they deny it happened. You're overreacting. That's not what I meant. You're imagining things. Then comes the attack. Suddenly, you're the one being questioned. Your memory, your perception, your sanity. You're too sensitive. You always twist things. You're the one with the problem. And finally, the reversal. By the end of the conversation, somehow they're the victim. Look at how you're treating me. You're making me out to be the monster. I can't believe you would accuse me of this. You walked in to address something they did wrong. You walked out apologizing. And you have no idea how that happened. The second tactic is the silent treatment. This isn't the same as someone saying they need space to cool down. That's healthy. The narcissist's silence is different. It's unexplained. It's indefinite. And it's designed to cause maximum distress. Research has identified 5 distinct functions of narcissistic silence. Punishment, to correct your behavior. Manipulation, to pressure compliance. Relational aggression, to harm you through withdrawal. Avoidance, to escape accountability. And control, to reset the power balance. The point is to make you feel confused, stressed, guilty, and unstable enough that you'll do whatever they want just to make the silence stop. And when they finally speak to you again, the relief you feel is so overwhelming that it actually strengthens your attachment to them. This is trauma bonding in action. The third tactic is martyrdom displays. Covert narcissists excel at this. They position themselves as the long-suffering hero, constantly sacrificing for everyone while secretly keeping score. A true giving person sacrifices without expectation of recognition. A narcissistic martyr meticulously records every sacrifice and leverages them for future control. They'll say things like, "I don't need to take care of myself when you need me so much," or "I've given up everything for this family." These statements sound loving. They're actually creating debt. The fourth tactic is identity attacks. There's a difference between guilt and shame. Guilt says, "I did something bad." Shame says, "I am bad." Through relentless criticism, narcissists move you from guilt to shame. You're so difficult. You're lucky anyone puts up with you. You're too much. You're not enough. Over time, these labels stop feeling like opinions. They start feeling like facts. When someone feels fundamentally flawed and defective, they become more compliant. That's not an accident. That's the goal. The fifth tactic is deploying flying monkeys. Named after the winged enforcers from The Wizard of Oz, flying monkeys are people the narcissist recruits to do their bidding. Sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly. They spread rumors. They question your decisions. They apply social pressure that reinforces your isolation and self-doubt. Dr. Ramani Durvasula notes that narcissists engage in a long con, using charm and strategic manipulation to build alliances and discredit their victims long before the victim even realizes what's happening. So when you leave, suddenly you're getting messages from mutual friends asking if you've really thought this through. Family members suggesting you try harder. People who only know the narcissist's version of events telling you that you're being too harsh. Each message reinforces the guilt, just like it was designed to. Now here's where it gets neurological. Your guilt isn't just psychological programming, it's written into your nervous system. The cycle of abuse, followed by kindness, creates what researchers call intermittent reinforcement. Psychologist B.F. Skinner discovered that behaviors rewarded on unpredictable schedules become the most resistant to extinction. Your brain doesn't just respond to rewards, it responds to the possibility of reward. This is the same mechanism that keeps gamblers at slot machines. Occasional wins create disproportionately powerful dopamine responses. In your relationship, random kindness after cruelty created neurochemical hits that kept you hyperanalyzing for signs of the good version of them returning. During abuse, cortisol and adrenaline surge. During reconciliation, dopamine and oxytocin release. This alternating pattern creates a biochemical roller coaster where the relief from fear becomes intensely rewarding. When you leave, you experience actual neurochemical withdrawal. Dopamine crashes cause depression. Oxytocin withdrawal causes intense longing. Cortisol dysregulation causes anxiety and panic. Your body interprets this discomfort as evidence that you did something wrong. That interpretation manifests as guilt. This is why you can know intellectually that leaving was right while feeling emotionally like you committed a crime. Your logical brain understands. Your survival brain is in withdrawal. Let me tell you what this looks like in real life so you can recognize it. You might feel guilty for leaving even though you were being destroyed. You might feel guilty for abandoning them even though they abandoned you emotionally years ago. You might feel guilty for breaking up the family even though they were the one who broke it. You might feel guilty for not trying hard enough even though you tried harder than any person should have to try. You might feel guilty for finally prioritizing yourself even though you spent years erasing yourself. You might feel guilty for talking about what happened even though staying silent protects your abuser. You might feel guilty when they move on happily with someone new, wondering if maybe you were the problem all along. And you might feel guilty for feeling relief, as if your freedom is somehow wrong. Every single one of these guilt responses was installed deliberately. So how do you uninstall the programming? First, understand the difference between authentic guilt and manufactured guilt. Authentic guilt emerges when you violate your own genuine values. It motivates repair and growth. It connects to actual wrongdoing. And it resolves when you take appropriate action. Manufactured guilt is based on the narcissist's rules, not your values. It involves things outside your control. It persists regardless of what you do. It's disproportionate to any actual wrongdoing. And it keeps you trapped rather than helping you grow. Ask yourself this: did I actually harm someone, or did I simply stop allowing myself to be harmed? Those are not the same thing. Second, recognize that your nervous system was trained to interpret boundaries as danger. Self-protection feels wrong because your survival brain learned that advocating for yourself led to punishment. You're not weak. You were conditioned. Third, build safe connections. Isolation amplifies guilt. The narcissist knew this. That's why they worked so hard to cut you off from people who could offer perspective. Safe relationships reduce the deep fear, anxiety, and guilt that isolation perpetuates. Fourth, consider trauma-informed therapy. EMDR, cognitive behavioral therapy, and somatic approaches can address both the psychological programming and the physiological patterns stored in your body. This isn't about willpower. It's about working with your nervous system instead of against it. And fifth, practice making small decisions without second-guessing yourself. Each successful boundary reinforces healthy patterns. Your self-trust was systematically dismantled. It gets rebuilt one choice at a time. Here's what I want you to remember. The guilt you feel for leaving is not evidence that you made the wrong choice. It's evidence that the programming worked exactly as it was designed to work. You didn't fail the relationship. You escaped an abusive situation. You're not heartless for feeling relief. You're human for surviving something harmful. Your boundaries are not abandonment, they're self-preservation. The narcissist installed software on your internal hard drive. You didn't choose it. You didn't ask for it. But now you know it's there, and that means you can work to remove it. Recovery isn't linear. Some days the guilt will feel overwhelming. Some days you'll question everything. That's normal. That's part of the process. But there's a version of you on the other side of this, a version that trusts their own perception, a version that doesn't apologize for existing, a version that knows the difference between loving someone and being controlled by them. That version isn't a fantasy. They're just waiting for you to keep walking toward them. The pattern is the protection. Now you see it. If this shifted how you understand what happened to you, subscribe. There's more to unpack, and you deserve to understand all of it.